I've come to a great peace with it. I realize that while I don't like that it happened, I appreciate what happened. I have this painting on my wall that you can't see, but it says, "Smooth seas never made skilled sailors." It's been this thought of mine that I've been able to navigate the rough seas of life at an older age easier because of the hardship at a younger age.
Welcome to Frontline Women, a show dedicated to women on the leading edge of change and culture renewal in America. I'm Delisha Coppersmith, and I'll be your host and guide as we explore emerging issues and opportunities for women to lead side by side with men every day. So let's get off the sideline and onto the front line right now. Welcome back, my friends. I'm so pleased to be back with you. It's been a couple of weeks because I took some time to go to Scotland, which was fantastic. And then I came back with the flu. But I have a special guest for you today that I cannot wait for our conversation. Every time I talk to this man, I learn something, whether it's about the world, myself, or about him. So we're going to have a great time. Anthony Trucks is a former NFL athlete and American Ninja Warrior who's now an international speaker, coach, author, and host of Dark Work Daily podcast. He's also the founder of the Dark Work Experience and the Speak to Freedom coaching program, which I've been a part of. He trains speakers and leaders all over the world. He has worked with companies that, well, I'll just say, you would know their names. I won't name drop, but he's worked for all the big companies, helping their leaders and their teams become more effective. He helps you to upgrade how you operate so you can elevate your life and your career to reach your full potential. And you know, that's what I'm all about as well. Anthony's been helping me to do that. And today he's here to help you. So Anthony, thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm excited to be here. I always love chatting with great people who are trying to do great things for great people.
All the women in this community are definitely trying to do their part. So let's jump right in because your story, you know, all of the things that you've been through, and it's a lot, folks. He does have a speech to get to today, but I do want him to at least share a little bit of that story because where he came from, where he ended up, and where he is today, it's all a fascinating story. So Anthony, tell us how you achieved success in football because you were an NFL athlete and what led you to do what you're doing today, which is helping others find their voice. And I'll say the self-discipline to actually use it.
I agree. Yeah, it's good. So, I mean, the first thing is I think I'm in a position to tell people how to do that or teach them because I did that, right? And that's kind of how we all start as just a random person on planet Earth going like, I've gone through something, maybe someone can benefit from it. So that was the backside, the now we'll call it. But prior to that, I think you have to have accomplished something worthwhile of sharing, right? So for me, that goes through hardship. Most people that have done something worthwhile have gone through a battle. Everybody who's listening now has gone through some battle. We've thankfully survived every day of them, right? But they're the ones that harden us, and we can either use that as a reason to do poorly, a good excuse to not climb to our full potential, or use it as a phenomenal stepping stone as to why I still push through. So for me, I was given away at 3 years old in foster care. My mom didn't want me. Had to battle a whole bunch of just the statistics of foster care. 75% of inmates in American prisons are former foster kids like me. Half the homeless
75%.
75%. Yeah, if you go to any prison in America, 3 of the 4 will spend time in foster care like me. I think less than 1% of us, there's 500,000, I think, countrywide foster kids ever graduate from college. So the numbers aren't pretty good once you get into that world. And so I was in the world for 11 years, adopted at 14. After I was with one family for 8 years of those 11. And it was an all-white family, didn't know who I was, where I fit in. And I found this kind of internal dialogue of I'm not very good. I'm not worth very much. And this is not only, kind of segmented to foster kids. This is anybody. It could be 40, 50 years old and still in your head go, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. What have I done? Why should anybody listen to me? And that was kind of the initial battle for me for a lot of years in life of who in the world is Anthony. And so I went through this at about the age 14, I got adopted and I was able to go do something new, which was where I really wanted to put in effort to change that narrative. I didn't know at the time I wanted to do that. I just knew I didn't like how things were going and how I felt. I tried football. It wasn't very good. Most of us start things, we suck at them. Anybody who's here listening
You're
knows
in the NFL, so come on now.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I got there, but didn't start as an NFL level athlete. My first years of football, I was the worst in the team, one of the worst in the team. I was athletic, but I had no football acumen. I didn't know how to run around and tackle people and read the play. I knew nothing, but I had this desire to play. And so I tried a year, wasn't good. Tried a second year, my freshman year of high school. I wasn't good still. And I was like, I'm done with this. I do like many of us do, make really good excuse to chalk it up. And then I had like a wake up moment, an epiphany of like, no, I don't want to go the direction this is going. Being a statistic was 100% in the crosshairs to go down. And so I made this choice to lean back into something that was scary, which was football. And no matter what that is, it could be taking a new job, starting a business, getting into a relationship, leaving a relationship, right? There's moments in time where change is scary, even if it's in a positive direction. For me, it was football. I leaned in and I tried these things that were not in my normalcy, not part of my current sense of self or what I call identity. But the more I did them, the better I got, and the more I rewired myself to be that guy. And so, yes, fast forward a couple years, I became dominant. Got a football scholarship, played college football at the University of Oregon, met my biological father, had my first son who just turned 21 last Monday, which is crazy. He's
Happy
graduated from,
birthday, son.
yeah, he graduates next semester from University of Houston. And I have a wife that I married fresh out of college and went to the NFL thing. NFL stands for not for long. You get in, you're beating your head against the wall. And it does. It's crazy because the NFL is this thing where they say the average of a person and there's 3 years. It's not 3 years, it's like 6 months. The amount of guys that get signed in the offseason and get cut before the season begins, it turns into like you have a 6 month window. So it's hard. I stuck around, got hurt in my third year, but learned a lot. I learned a lot about grit, sticking through moments that like, not even moments, multiple weeks of hating every moment of every day, but just going back into it. When you are baptized in that discomfort, it hardens you in a different way. Not much can break you beyond that. And so I got to that whole journey, came out of that. After I tore my shoulder, came home and didn't know who I was without football. I had a complete identity crisis of who was Anthony without this thing that made him Anthony. And I was married, had, my oldest son, and we had twins at that point in time, and my marriage fell apart. My wife had an affair that, broke me, broke my soul. And at the time, it was one of these things where I was young, 26, and it was all her fault. As a man now, I've progressed to understand my role within the relationship and how it got to the point where she even thought she had to make a choice like that in the first place. I take nothing from the choice, nor does she, but we understand as humans, like we weren't in a position to be able to make a great marriage happen, right? And so I
Sure.
just was learning and went through that journey, divorced, and 3 years of just I call the fog, and it was just getting up and going through the motions and not being a present dad, not being a good guy, to be honest wasn't bad, but I wasn't of the caliber of character that had grown myself to be. I'd fallen far from my faith and far from the staple of the man that I wanted to be my whole life. And then I woke up on a day where I lost my mom. My adoptive mom got diagnosed with MS 17 years prior, and she lost her battle. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I go, I don't like this man. He's not a man that I would want my daughter to marry a guy like me. I wouldn't want my boys to mimic a man like me. My mom would not approve. My guy wouldn't let me into heaven. There's no way. And so I went through this journey of like, I gotta figure out what are the things that are the issues. And what I found was I was the common denominator in all of my problems. No one likes to hear that, but whether I created the problem,
Ultimate inconvenient truth, right?
yeah, and it sucks. But what's funny about it is all of us, you either have to realize that you created the problem or you are allowing it to persist. But the thing with that is when you actually do that ownership, you actually get a little bit of agency back. That's the thing that is a bittersweet feeling because you feel good knowing like, man, I have some control, but man, do you feel crappy going, I always had control. This was partly on me. And that little dance is the one where if you can navigate that, you can go back through and go, all right, well, if I had control, let me control the future differently. And so I went through and I revamped myself, not through desire and sitting in a chair, but through actions. How I showed up as a son, how I showed up as a father, how I showed up as a partner in relationships, as a business owner. And in doing so, it got to where after 3 years divorced, I remarried my ex-wife. We have an amazing marriage now. We're about 9 years deep in a
Love that.
remarriage. I love it too. It's beautiful. We're not
Mhm.
perfect. I think we're in a little spat right now. I'm not 100% sure. I spent too much money on my car. She just found out about it. And it was the thing is it's not like it's like money that hurts our family. It's like I have a little money I put aside, but she's like, "You really spent that much?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so she's like not as super joyous this morning, but we're fine.
Yeah, we're
Mm,
on a journey. We never get there, right?
yeah,
We're on a journey, so it's how
it's
you're
what it is.
managing your journey today.
Exactly. And it's not it's again, it's nothing, we're fine. It's financially no problem. But it's one of those things she's like, I can't believe you did. I'm like, well, it's money that I put aside that you don't have to worry about. Anyways, but I just say that to go like we all have these things we're working on and building through. But I will say this, all of that I went through is the reason why I'm able to talk to what I talk to. I believe you should not be telling people how to run the race until you've crossed some finish lines. Pun
Yep.
intended for you, quite literally, right? And and so for me, I look at it as I'm in a position where I have this interesting life experience that is actually the world story. And so when I come to settings like this, my goal is to share the story in hopes to help people learn something from it. I have no idea 100% what it's ever going to be. But when I look at the people in my life, and one being my wife, one being my daughter, who honestly, I got 3 kids. I got 2 sons and I got a daughter. And my daughter's a dog. Like she has the grittiest work ethic. And not even just in sports. Like she'll be in the backyard, just clean up the leaves and hooking to taking care of stuff. Like she gets down. She doesn't mind getting done. I'm like, that's awesome. My wife still runs masters track. And there's something to that that I love. My daughter can watch my wife be an entrepreneur and boldly go and do what she does. And I
Yeah.
can be in support because here's the dance of it now is like when I was having my oldest son, my wife was just my wife. She would just show up and say Anthony's wife, Anthony's girlfriend, Anthony's wife, mother of his child. And I was the football player and she was just the background. Whereas now
Mhm.
she's the world class masters level athlete. And I'm just the guy carrying the bags. And I love it. Like I love that I get to give that back to her. And she gets to be an example to my daughter of how to do things boldly in the direction of what you want to do, regardless of whatever you think may be a hindrance. And so I get to live in this world where I both live it and teach from it.
Yeah. And this is a perfect time to tie in what the dark work means because I mentioned that you have the podcast and that you
Yeah.
have the program, the Dark Work Experience. That spoke to me before I even knew what you meant by it. I just, instinctively, I guess, I just knew exactly what you were talking about. And what you offer to people is really looking at the dark work that helps you shine in the light. So I do want you to talk about that in
Yeah.
relation to especially your priorities and of course your business, your family, your contributions. So how does this idea of the dark work play into your priorities and how you stay on track every day?
Yeah. Well, I think anything we have in life, you cannot attain or sustain anything above your current identity, which is who you are when you're not thinking about who you are. And I coined a term called a dominator's identity. So that type of identity is one that can govern and exert control, but it's not what you think. It's not like control the world around you. It's more of like, can I exert control over the more, we'll call it submissive, lackadaisical, weaker part of my identity that doesn't want to do the hard stuff to get what I want most. I call it a submitter. You submit to the hardship, submit to the
And this
excuse,
is
and submit.
the internal stuff.
It is. It usually is. And so it's
Yeah.
not dominating outside, but can I dominate inside and build the person I want? So that's the goal, right? In order to get there, you have to do things that I call dark work. It's the behind the scenes, unsexy, unseen, ridiculed, misunderstood, gritty things that are almost like, people don't even celebrate. They sometimes make fun of you, but that's what's required to both achieve and transform. It's the things that give us also a personal pride that when I step into the light, I shine different. Everybody we know that we admire, the Wim Hofs, the David Goggins, yourself, or the world, you guys are doing things that are behind the scenes that no one's seeing and celebrating. And all of a sudden, you step in front of the light. It's like, damn, look at that person get after it, right? And that's why they say that champions aren't made in the light; they're seen there. They're made in the
Oh,
darkness.
wow. That is so true.
So that's
Yeah.
it. So for dark work, my big thing is guiding people through the process of what to do in the dark. Because all of us can go like, I'm gonna go do some things. But if the goal is to shift your identity, which is what I call shift identity, into whatever that dominant version of you is, there's got to be a plan in place. I can't just hope I do the right things and land upon the right actions and habits and patterns. Because a lot of us, we sometimes will look at people ahead of us and go, oh, I want to be where they're at. Let me do what they're doing. And you do it, and you get there and go, man, I followed the guys of David and Susan, and all of a sudden I'm here and it's like, oh, I don't like David's life. I didn't realize that David has a bad marriage. David's out of shape and he doesn't like himself. And Susan, she's nobody likes Susan. Like that's crazy. Like I did all these things that be like them to get what they have and realize that I didn't pay attention to the identity that had that thing. So what I look at is when you're doing that work in the dark, it should be geared towards what are the habits, actions, decision making, execution, the paradigms that this person is embodying to create this reality for their life. And then I go, great. What are the good parts and the bad parts? Get rid of the bad parts. What are the good parts I want to have be part of my identity? How do I put those in place? Not big, like one fell swoop, but how do I go small in the biggest way possible? How do I put these little things in place and consistently do them so over time I get what I want? And if I take it back to my sports days, my marriage days, my business days, even now, it's what it is. It's the small things behind the scenes that nobody is seeing going on. But that's why when I step in front of the camera, step on a stage like later today, I can shine because I've done too much work in the dark to lose in the light.
I love that. It inspires me every time, if I'm out running. Like I told you that one time I was running up a hill with the wind and all of that going, and I was like, "This is awful. I'm just gonna walk it up the hill." And I thought of you, and I was like, "Nope, this is the dark work. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
this is the dark work." And trust me, it got me through a really tough race shortly after
Beautiful.
that. But it's more than that. The effect that you've had on me, and I hope you have on the listeners, is that it doesn't really matter what we have been through. Of course, that what we've been through matters,
Mm.
but it doesn't define us, it doesn't stop us, and it
No,
doesn't excuse us,
no.
from taking full accountability of our lives. And so you've had a fantastic impact on my life, and I love watching you. I love being in your presence, and I love watching how you deal with both people one on one, as well as you can rock a stadium. I mean, you're
Oh,
incredible. So
thank
so
you.
he can he can reach you whether it's one on one or if you are sitting in the highest furthest seat away from the stage, he's gonna get to you. But let me ask you what you have admired in other speakers. Who's a speaker,
Mhm.
okay, that has done their dark work to shine in the light, who really impacted you? What did
Mm.
you see about them
Yeah,
that that connected for you?
there's a few. The great thing is I get to call these people friends, which is a really powerful gift. It's a blessing. The first person that I really ever saw speak was a guy named Brennan Burchard. Like I went to his event locally, Santa Clara at the time, and I hadn't even entered this world at all. I knew nothing about it. It was crazy to watch somebody just kind of float across the stage for 8 straight hours like a friggin' robot and not even just go, but then like so much energy the entire time. Like this is inhuman. And that was beautiful to watch that. And the setting was obviously a seminar, so the teaching was a little bit different. But I got to watch this person kind of flow. The second person I would say is actually a person that's we share the same agent now. Her name's Mel Robbins, and Mel is just she has this wicked ability to talk to you for you. I don't know if it makes sense. Like I had her on
It's
my podcast.
I follow her, absolutely, yeah.
She's wild. She's like she's so in touch with herself and people around her at a creepy depth level. I had her on my podcast and she started interviewing me. It was wild. But at the end, I was like, what just happened? Like but she gets to the quick of it and she's able to really, everything she's saying, it's based on how do I give value to the person across on stage? She just goes. And the other person is Ed Milet. Ed's a guy that he's one of those dudes you can put him on anywhere. He doesn't need slides. He just can start talking. And in the talking of it, because he's been doing it for so long, he can hit every single emotional point you could imagine. And some you didn't know you needed to get touched. And he hits you and it's all for you. It's the same thing. But what I've loved about them is every bit of it goes to a space of two things I find. One is what is the thing the audience needs? And then two is how can I be vulnerable to get them to open up with my experience to actually hit that need? So the
Yeah.
thing is, if somebody needs to feel something about like how to navigate the relationship, like my marriage, right? I
Mhm.
know there's people I speak to that need to hear something about that relationship connection. Might not be an intimate relationship like mine, could be with their kids, their colleagues, their boss, who knows? But the idea is if I can share vulnerably about a thing I went through that most men would never talk about in a way that has the ability to not just position me as like this sad sap, but like to have the strength to say, here's what I went through. It was really hard, but here's what I learned from it. Here's how it went, like, and really bring them there. What happens is they get the gift they needed because I was able to share that. And that's what they do. Like I've watched all of them.
Listen, and this is what you do,
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. This is what
Yeah.
I want our listeners to consider for themselves. I mean, we're talking about you right now, and we've talked about some other speakers, but women who are stepping into leadership roles, or even if they're just going to speak up about something in their community,
Yeah.
just take more responsibility to use their voice.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I was saying before, you help us with that. But the reason that, and I've worked with other speaking coaches and business coaches, and one thing that I've really noticed about you, and it's what you're saying about these other really impactful people as well. You're real. You you know what your superpower is, if you want to call it that. You might not label it or anything, but you know what it is. The essence of who Anthony Trucks is after all the things that you've been through, and you've inventoried your talents. And you hold yourself accountable for using those talents and refining them. But you're real. You are fully powerful. You help people change their lives, and it's not about you trying to be successful. It's not about you trying to create some model person that you can sell. It's genuine, and you're out here serving people. And so everybody that's listening right now, you've got the same potential to do
Yeah.
that in your own way. And
Mhm.
all the speakers that you mentioned, Anthony, they're all very different. Mel Robbins is not like Ed, and Ed is not like, Brendan, and Brendan's not like you. You're all different.
Yeah, yeah, all different, and it's the beauty of it. I think people they hear a lot that it's your difference is your strength, but the problem is I don't think people are confident letting them be themselves out in public sometimes. So the
Yeah.
thing that's the strongest part of you, you're keeping back out of fear of judgment for what if someone doesn't like it? I got to give you guys a news flash. Not everybody's going to like it. It's
No
just the
matter
nature.
what, no matter how
Yeah.
polished.
Yeah, my pastor says not everybody love Jesus, not everybody's gonna love you, right? I'm not saying this is a faith based thing, but like there's conceptual things where if you look at some of those prominent people, they're so polarizing. Some people absolutely hate them, some absolutely love them. The problem is if you rob the ones that love you because the ones that don't love you, like then you're hurting the world. So to be able to share and speak up and let the world know you're what you think and why you think it, it's strong. And in fact, what happens is you give people the opportunity to fall in love with you. I have said, if somebody doesn't know you enough to dislike you, they'll never know you enough to truly love you. So
Wow.
share, be open, because the more you do, you'll find that the ones that don't like you, the ones that do go to bat for you. So it's not a problem in the end.
It's true. That is very true. So, okay, on that note, what advice do you have for women who feel they have more to offer
Yeah.
in their lifetime than what they're currently known for?
Oh,
So they
yeah.
may not be speakers. Okay, everybody
Huh?
out there doesn't want to. As a matter of fact, I think the stats are like 75% of people
Oh, yeah.
would never step on a stage.
Yeah.
Like it's the
Get
most
it.
terrifying thing. So let's get away from even the speaking piece of it
Yeah.
because that's just one example.
Mhm.
But for women who know they have more to offer than what they're giving right now to the world, what do you
Yeah.
have to say to them?
So there's this thought I had. Somebody gave me this thought of like, when you're looking at expert, let's call it expert. I'm just going to go somewhere, I promise. So the idea is like these experts, these people that have something to share, what they assume is like they have to go out in the world and be like, hey, listen, I'm the expert. I know that I'm the expert. And what I found is when they do that, when somebody says that, I immediately go like, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I believe, why should I believe you, right? What I have found, the people that I believe are experts never say it. They just speak their mind. They just say what needs to be said and they do it. And I go, dang, this person knows their stuff, right? And so the reality is I say that to go, anybody that has something to share, the goal isn't to be like, listen, you should listen to me because I'm a great leader. Just do you. Literally transparently do you. And what happens is you'll know you're doing you properly when you start getting people who are pointing out that it's different or it's odd, they diminish, they judge. Well, why are they doing that? Two reasons that I have found. Option one, or reason one, is because they notice in you something that's different. Good or bad, they notice difference and they're pointing out different. They don't even know why it's different, but it's odd, it's different, it's abnormal, right? The other part is you're holding a mirror up to their inadequacies or inabilities. And so when they feel that they have to do one of two things, they have to go, well, she's right, or go, two, I'm wrong. Or no, sorry, one, she's right, I'm wrong, or two, let me descend this person down by judgments to make myself feel better. And none of those should be any reason to stop doing you. Whether somebody sees you as an individual, they go like, this person, is horrible, and they start making judgments. Cool. That doesn't have to stop you from doing anything, right? And on top of that, you don't have to go, look, listen, I'm a great leader. Just lead. Just
Yeah.
do it. The
If
thing is, the
anything, I'm sorry, but you made me think of something. If anything, when you get that criticism or comparison, people that are trying to diminish you in some way, it's a test of whether you really believe in what you're doing. Just think of it.
yeah,
It's just a test. That's all it is.
very well said. Very well said. That's true. It really is. It's the path to the success. It's my guy, late Dave Halls would say, it's a price of admission.
Yeah.
Even Nick Saban says, if you want to be a leader, he says, if you want to be liked by everybody, go sell ice cream. Don't be a leader. And I was like, it's true. Like, if you want to go out and do something, you're going to have people that kick back because they don't know this new version of you. It's abnormal. So you have to go through the process of retraining them over time and their objections to see, like, dang, she really is like that. Okay. And they have nothing to do, but they have to submit to it. And then, two, if they point it out and they start talking bad, let them talk. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to give
You
them
don't have to
energy.
solve it. You don't have to solve it.
That
I
is
think
their,
that's where we go wrong a lot of times, especially, I've done a couple episodes talking about, trying to keep the peace with the political environment. Not
Mhm.
that you need to keep the peace at the expense of your own beliefs, but really we can't be so divided like this for long. We just can't. And
Yeah.
it's all right if people don't agree with you. You don't have to solve it. You don't have to, convince other people. That's not your
No,
job. Just give
at
your
all.
best and speak your truth and do
Yeah.
do whatever it is you feel called to do. And
Yeah.
the rest is it's up to them. It's okay if they don't
Yeah.
like it.
Even if they create a problem out of it, you don't have to jump in the problem boat with them. I watched
No.
this recent thing. You ever seen this Sydney Sweeney with the great
Yeah.
jeans commercial?
Mhm.
I recently saw her. I saw the commercial. I don't get what people were saying of like the whole like it's racist. It doesn't make sense to me yet. I get the logic that they're trying to use, but it's not genuine logic. And
Mhm.
then on the other side, they had an interview recently where she went on and they go, hey, can you address the issues of racism and to condone it? And essentially, she's like, I when I feel like there's something I have to say on a topic, I'll make sure I speak on the topic. She didn't even address whether or not she agreed, disagreed. She just says, if a topic comes along I feel I should address, I will. Now there are people on the one side of the table that go, oh well, she's not discounting racism in the genes, so she's with it. Other side's going, no, she played it perfectly because if I go ahead and let you create a narrative and I have to jump in the boat with you, you're now driving the boat. She didn't
Mhm.
get I say that to come back to the point we're talking about and go, yeah, if people were saying something, do what they're doing. If they concocted it, don't get in the boat with them. Like, I'm not getting in your boat. Like, you want to get in
Yeah.
the boat? No, I'm going to get in the boat. I'm going to go take a walk this way. You don't have to engage into the
No.
conversation. Let people do what they want to do. Because the truth is, if you didn't mean it for that, don't even let them think you did. Don't even try to justify it, to be honest. Don't even argue. It's not worth it.
No, we only have to go down that path just a little bit to, try to be understood, but that's about it. And the same applies to leadership positions. So a lot of the women that I work with are in leadership roles,
Yeah.
and they have to continuously coach themselves on not trying to, be pleasing to everybody and be
Yeah.
everybody's, mom and get stuck in that maternal role. Because if you're doing what you believe is right, if you're leading well, you're still going to have people that don't appreciate what you're doing. They don't like your style. If we were supposed to go solving everybody's mommy and daddy issues and all the things, like, there's no way. We can't do it, right? There's
Yeah.
no way. Even if we had
There's
the
no way.
skills to do it, we can't do it.
It's
So
your
being
job.
fearless, stepping out there and
Yeah.
leading and speaking about what you wanna speak about, making the change that you wanna make. And by the way, if you are interested in being a speaker, for those of you who feel like you have a book you wanna write and speeches that you wanna give, I really encourage you to reach out to Anthony. It's anthonytrucks.com. It'll be in the, show notes as well, but fantastic speaking program, Speak to Freedom. I hope you're doing that forever. I don't know if you're gonna do it forever, but I hope you do because it really does serve all of us who are out here trying to do our
Yeah.
thing. This is gonna ask you to go a little bit backwards, if you don't
Okay.
mind. You told us so casually about your background,
Yeah.
having been abandoned at 3 and being in the foster care system for 11 years and being adopted by an all-white family. There's so much to unpack there that because you have a talk to give today, we don't have time to do it. But I do wanna ask you a question about that time in your life and how it, is so different than where you are today. Tell us something that you didn't see or didn't believe about yourself as a kid
Yeah.
that you know is true today.
Oh, interesting. So I would for sure say that the thing I didn't know or didn't believe was I had worth. Because when your own mom gives you away and the foster parents you're with, the current family was good. Prior to that, I was beaten, starved, tortured, weird stuff by weird people. And I've come to a great peace with it. I realize that while I don't like that it happened, I appreciate what happened. I have this painting on my wall that you can't see, but it says "Smooth seas never made skilled sailors." It's been this thought of mine that I've been able to navigate the rough seas of life at an older age easier because of the hardship at a younger age. But the thing I didn't believe back then was I mattered, had worth, because no one had showed me I did, until I got to the family I'm with now, where it's like, hey, I was a part of the family and they loved me. That became a nuance. Whereas now I realize that it's interesting thing is, as an adult, I've found that I have a desire to be desired. And I'm
Mhm.
also selfish, but the selfishness is an interesting selfishness. So to be desired, I like people to say thank you. I love people going thank you because it shows me that I mattered to them. This is definitely tied to my childhood. I've kind of unpacked. But here's the thing: in order to get a genuine thank you, I appreciate you, I have to give heavily, like all of me in any way I can. So if I show up as a coach, show up as a dad, show up as a husband, whatever it is, I am consistently trying to be a guy that gives because I know that that's what gives me what I want, which is the fact that I matter. So my selfish desire for a thank you serves everybody because I give heavily to everybody. And so that's, I think, the thing that I've been able to rewire is I do matter. And I'm not worthless. And I have the same thing everybody on planet Earth has, which is an opportunity to rewrite the story. Whatever took place, took place. I can use that as a great reason to do poorly or a phenomenal reason to step up and do great. But I chose to do great with it. And then in that kind of thing of doing it, I think had I not chose to lean in to build to be better, I wouldn't have had the reframing of the perspective of the fact that I matter. Because if I was to go on the statistical level, I'd be a criminal. I'd be doing crazy things. I'd be in jail, right? And I would not matter to anybody else. But because I leaned in the opposite, I now do.
Yeah. And if 75%, of incarcerated people or men, I'm not sure what the stat was, were in the foster system, at least, for a short time,
Mhm.
that's a large statistic to be part of. You're now
Right.
part of a very, very small statistic of very
Yeah.
successful people. And even smaller because of the way you impact people in such a genuine way. You care about all of us. And every one of us has the ability to do the same thing. When we find what our talents are and we reconcile our past and things that we've gone through and we weave those two things together, our tough times that have made us resilient, our unique talents, and then we find a place where we can serve others. I think that's the only way that we can perform at a high level and give of ourselves the way you do, Anthony, consistently and not run out of energy. Because it's almost like when we're in our purpose and using our gifts and talents and we get into flow, that creates energy within us.
Yeah. You
And,
don't
and
burn.
if we weren't doing that, we'd be just toiling away at a job that we haven't put meaning into yet. I tell women
Yeah.
all the time, you don't need to quit your job necessarily, but you need to find out who you are, what your gifts are, and find a way to
Yeah.
give those wherever you go. And
Yeah.
and
And
you
the
do that so beautifully.
Yeah, I totally get it. I think Simon Sinek recently had a quote where he says, "When you give a ton of energy to something you don't love, it's called burnout. When you give a
Yeah.
ton of energy to something that you do love, it's called passion, and no one complains, and you do it all day long." And I think the thing is we sometimes lose sight of the fact that our passion can be fueled by many different aspects. Tamara Lowe's a previous artist, or an artist, author, wrote a book called Get Motivated. And there's this thing called DNA, motivational DNA, drives, needs, and awards. And the awards that there's drives and there's needs. The drives are like, external, internal. But one of them for the needs is, do I need stability or variety? Interestingly, like there are a lot of people that think that they want variety, but they really need stability. My best friend in the world, he's a stability human. I'm a variety creator. Like he needs to know what he's doing for the next 13 years. If I know what I'm doing next week, it makes my body uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't want that kind of stability. I like the stability of variety to live and do craziness. Now I say all that to go, when I come back to the person who's living in the day to day, 9 to 5 job, career, whatever it is, all you have to do is go like, hey, no, I do well with stability, but let me find the reconnection to what this job I have provides for the life I want. Because that
Right.
stability lets you know I got a paycheck and I know where I'm going somewhere. I know I'm not going somewhere. I know I have the money to invest into this thing or the time to take off. Like there's something in that. Or maybe this career, it provides the investment to be able to live and eat and breathe. So you can do a hobby, maybe like snowboarding or you
Yeah.
whittle, birdhouses. The idea is if you can reconnect to what this career is providing for your passion, now it's not burnout. Now you're like, yeah,
You can navigate, all of the bumps in the road so much more easily because
yeah,
you know really what your goal is to
exactly.
live that purpose or enjoy that part of your life, and this provides that, and instead of hanging everything on your job and expecting your job to make you happy, it's not gonna
100%.
happen.
I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Anthony, I really appreciate it. I know I've said this twice, but thank you so much for being here with us
Yeah,
today. And
happy
I
to.
hope, ladies, if you feel at all that you have a message inside of you that you want to give, whether it's to be a professional speaker or just to be a better speaker as a leader, get in touch with Anthony, and his program and his community is going to steer you in the right direction. So good luck with your talk today, Anthony. I know you're going to do great things, and
Yeah.
I guess we'll see you soon.
Yep, yep. Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies. Thanks for being frontline leaders wherever you are, and I'll see you next week.